Hi, and welcome back to the mat with me. My name is Kira, and today I'm going to be guiding you through a slow flow yoga class. So this is going to be a slower style vinyasa practice, meaning to move with our breath. And this is great for beginners, but also for anyone who wants to move their body. I'm going to invite you to grab 2 blocks if you have them. If you don't have blocks, that's okay. You can do it without, or if you do have another prop that will help bring the mat a little bit closer to your hands in some postures, then you can go ahead and grab those. One more thing before we get started as well. I have linked a playlist for you in the description that you can go ahead and listen to on Spotify while you move through this practice. It just adds a little something extra to it, and I curated the playlist, so it's some of my favorite songs. We're going to get started in a seated position today. So I like to sit cross-legged. You can sit in whatever shape feels better for you. Maybe you want to sit on one of your blocks and bring the mat up a little closer towards your seat bones to elevate your hips. Otherwise, getting comfortable in that seat, you can bring hands to the tops of the knees, palms down to ground, palms open to receive. And then close the eyes if that feels safe for you. If not, just softening the gaze. Shoulders will drop away from the ears. Crown of the head will lengthen up towards the sky. And let's start off by taking a few deep breaths so that we can drop into the body. So big inhale, expand into the belly, the chest, the collarbones. Big exhale, let it all fall in reverse, chest and then belly. So again, just like that, maybe an inhale through the nose and an exhale through the mouth. Let's do a couple more just like that. Big breath in and big breath out. How does it feel to slow down, to soften the body a little bit? This breath is always going to be there to support you through this practice. So whenever you need to, coming back to it for a moment to reconnect, whether it be with yourself, your practice, or presence. This breath is your pathway home and your superpower for regulating the nervous system. So as you continue with these deeper breaths, I'm going to invite you to set an intention for the practice. What this does is it helps start to shift the energy. Intentions, they start that energetic flow, that energetic opening. And it's the first part of our movement. With the breath is also setting the intention. So maybe your intention for the practice today is to be open to the possibilities that this practice can provide. Open to the feelings that might flow through you and come up to the surface. Maybe your intention is to step into a space of gratitude and really cultivate that energy or come back to that space of gratitude. There are many different intentions that you can set, whatever resonates with you. If it's one that I shared, beautiful. If it's not, that's okay too. Remembering that this is your practice, your movement session, and however you need to get through it, whatever you need from it, take it because it's yours. We're just going to take a couple more breaths here, and I want you to just sit with that intention that you set. Then very gently start to flutter the eyes open. Beautiful. You're going to rock over your hips and come into a tabletop position. Shoulders will stack over the wrists, hips over the knees. Inhale, drop the belly, lift the gaze. And exhale, push the earth away, draw your chin towards your chest, round in the spine. And then a couple more just like that. Inhale, expansion. Exhale, a softening. So we are going to be doing a lot of moving with the breath here today. And there's no need to rush through any breath or movement. You do not have to stay in line with my words or cueing. You honor the pace of your practice today. Let's take one more round in our cat-cow. And then come back to a neutral spine. Beautiful. Inhale, you're going to reach your right arm towards the ceiling. And exhale, you're going to gently sweep it behind the left, dropping down onto your right shoulder, just gently, because we're going to press into that left hand. Inhale, reach your right hand towards the ceiling. Exhale, sweep it behind the left arm. Gently drop down. Maybe you don't make it all the way. That's okay. Let's do one more. Inhale, you open up, expand. And exhale, you slide it through. This time we are going to stay. So you might be able to drop all the way down onto that right shoulder, right temple. And just take a moment to soften into the back of that right arm, just staying here for another breath. And then gently press into your left palm, reach your right hand towards the ceiling. And take your right hand back to the mat. Let's find the other side. Inhale, reach your left arm up. Exhale, very gently sweep it through. You might not make it all the way down, but you might, and that's okay. Inhale, press into that right hand. You reach the arm up to the sky. And exhale, you gently sweep it through, gently drop down. One more, just like that with the breath. Inhale, you reach, you open, you expand. And exhale, very gently sweeping through, dropping down, and you're going to hold it here just for a couple of breaths. And then gently press into your right hand, reach your left hand back towards the ceiling, and then take your left hand back down to the mat. Awesome. We're going to keep our shins parallel to one another. You're going to take your hips back towards your heels. So we're kind of bowing over top of the thighs. You can walk the hands forward and just bow to rest here for a moment. Your forehead might not touch the ground. That's okay. You can just hover the head or let it hang for a second. You're going to shift forward on the inhale. Shoulders are going to stack over the wrists. We still have our knees grounded, but notice how the tops of my thighs are on a nice incline with the torso. So we don't want to be in a tabletop position. We want to be in a modified plank. Shoulders over wrists. Core is nice and strong. On your exhale, you're going to lower all the way onto the belly. So elbows will graze the ribs. And then very gently pressing the tops of the feet into the mat, pressing the palms into the mat. You'll peel the heart up. And then on the exhale, you're going to take your hips back towards the heels where we started. So we're going to move through that a couple of times with the breath. So inhale, shift forward. Exhale, you lower down. Inhale, lift the heart. And exhale, take the hips up and back. Let's do that 2 more times. Inhale, shift forward. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, lift the heart. And exhale, take the hips back. One more, just like that. Inhale, shift forward. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, heart lifts. And exhale, hips pull back. So as you start to lift the hips, you're going to tuck the toes and then you're going to take the hips back and find a downward facing dog. So you might take a little walk of the dog, a bend into one knee, a bend into the other knee, just to open up some space in the hamstrings. When you're ready, finding stillness. So you might keep a slight bend in the knees. Let the head hang nice and loose between the biceps. Little external rotation of the triceps. And then we're going to find our sun salutation A, which really is the foundation of our flow practice. So we're going to bend the knees, look to the hands, step to the top of your mat, find a fold. You might keep a slight bend in the knees here. Inhale, bring your hands to your shins, find a halfway lift. You're lengthening through the spine. On the exhale, you hinge and fold over top of the thighs. Inhale, ground down into the feet, reach the arms all the way up overhead as you stand tall, take up space. And exhale, hands come down through heart center, and then you hinge to fold again. So inhale, find that halfway lift, hands to shins. Exhale, you fold, ground down the hands. Step the feet back to a high plank. Now you can keep the knees lifted, or your modification is to drop the knees down. Exhale, lower all the way onto the belly, elbows graze the ribs. Untuck the toes, inhale, lift the heart. And on your exhale, tuck the toes, take the hips up and back for that downward facing dog. So that's your sun salutation. Let's do that 2 more times, nice and slowly with the breath. Bend the knees, look to the hands, step, hop, or float to the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, you fold. Inhale, root down, rise up, reach tall. And exhale, you hinge and fold. Halfway lift again, long spine. And then you plant the hands, step back to your high plank. I'm going to drop the knees. You don't have to. Exhale, you lower down. And inhale, gently lift the heart. Exhale, take the hips up and back. You find that downward facing dog. And let's just take one breath here before we find that final little flow. You're going to bend the knees, look to the hands, step to the top of your mat, find your fold. Inhale, hands to shins. Exhale to fold. Inhale to rise, hands to the sky. Exhale, hinge and fold. Halfway lift, flat back. And then plant the hands, step back to your high plank. Option to drop the knees first before you exhale to lower down, chaturanga. Inhale, heart lifts. Exhale, hips go back. And just taking a moment to be with how you feel. Maybe you close the eyes, maybe you take a bigger breath, you sigh anything out that might have shifted that you don't need to carry with you anymore. Maybe you remind yourself of your intention. With each breath, with each movement, embodying that intention more. You're going to bring your toes to touch. Inhale, lift up your right leg. On the exhale, bend your knee, open your hip, drop the heel towards the glute. On your next exhale, you're going to take your knee towards your nose and place the foot between the hands. Now, it's okay if it takes you a couple steps to get there. Then you're going to drop your back knee down. And we're going to keep the hands on either side of the front foot. So now is a great time to grab your blocks if you're choosing to use blocks in this practice today. So we're starting off with our low lunge legs. We're not dumping too much weight in the hands. Our spine is long. Our hips sink low. This is going to be your inhale. As you exhale, your hips are going to shift back. Your front toes are going to flex towards you. So you might keep a slight bend in this front knee, and that's okay. You might be able to fold a little deeper. We're thinking about pulling that right hip back and left hip forward. Breathing into those tight spaces in the back of the leg. So we're going to move with the breath now. Inhale, bend into the front knee, sink the hips, lengthen the spine. Exhale, pull the hips back, front toes flex towards you, find a little fold. 2 more, just like that. Inhale, sink the hips, lift the heart. And exhale, hips draw back, you fold. Maybe you can get a little deeper. Let's do 1 more. Inhale, sink the hips, lift the heart. And exhale, pull the hips back, you find your fold. Beautiful. You're gonna ground down in that front foot, maybe walk the hands forward. You sink into your front knee. You're gonna remove 1 block on the right side. If you did use blocks, you can keep the block on your left side at the lowest height, or you just keep that left hand grounded to the mat, whatever feels best in your body. But can your wrist be underneath the shoulder? Next inhale, take your right hand up towards the ceiling. We're finding a twist. Maybe your gaze follows that top hand if that feels okay. And then we're just going to find a little bit of movement with this top arm. So exhale, drop that right arm down alongside you. Inhale, reach it up, over, and forward like you're drawing a rainbow with that right hand. Exhale, draw it up, over, and back. And then again, inhale, you take it up and reach it forward. Let's do 1 more. Exhale, take it up. Open, draw back, and then forward. And then just take your right hand to the outside of that front foot. Remove that left block. Tuck your back toes, lift your back knee. Then you're going to drop that back heel down. So the back foot is parallel to the back of the mat. When you're ready, you're going to swing the arms up, cartwheel them up, and sink into that front knee. I'm going to turn around so you can see me a little bit better. We're in a warrior 2. So we want front heel and back arch to be in alignment, and we want to make sure the front knee is not collapsing inwards. So can you slightly draw it open so that if you were to gaze down at your big toe, you can see it? Shoulders soften, and we're gazing over that front hand. Inhale, you're going to straighten your front leg, reach the arms overhead, shift the gaze to follow the hands. Exhale, sink into the front knee, gaze over the front hand. Inhale, straighten, lengthen, reach. Exhale, sink into the front knee. Let's do 1 more with the breath. Inhale, create space. Exhale, sink into that space that you've created. Beautiful. Cartwheel the hands down to frame the front foot. You come onto the ball of the back foot. Step your right foot back to meet the left. Drop the knees down. Exhale, lower all the way to the belly. Inhale, lift the heart. And exhale, you take the hips up and back. Just take a breath in your down dog. Take a moment here to check in. How did that side of the body feel? What's going on? What's present? Whatever's there, let's welcome it in. Take a deeper breath. Big inhale. Big exhale. Bring your toes to touch. Inhale, lift up your left leg. Exhale, bend the knee, open the hip. Make sure both shoulders stay nice and square to the mat. We don't want to dump into one side. When you're ready, next exhale, you take your knee towards your nose. Place the foot between the hands. Again, it's okay if it takes you a couple steps to get there. Drop your back knee down. Keep your hands to frame that front foot. Now, you might not need blocks. You might need blocks. You might need a little support today, and that's okay. Otherwise, hands are just on either side of that front foot on the mat. We're Sinking the hips down and forward. Spine is long. This is going to be your inhale. On your exhale, hips draw back, front toes flex towards you, and we fold towards that front leg, making sure left hip draws back and right hip draws forward. Of course, you can keep a slight bend in that front knee if you need to or want to. We're going to find that movement with the breath. So inhale, you ground the foot, sink the hips, lengthen the spine. Exhale, shift it back, find the fold, get a little deeper. Let's do 2 more. Inhale, you shift forward. And exhale, draw it back. Nice job. Inhale, shift forward. And exhale, you pull it back. Bend into the front knee. Ground down the foot. Beautiful. Now, you're going to remove that left block if you used it. Flip your right block so that it's on the lowest height. Ground down the right hand underneath the shoulder. If you don't have a block, just placing it on the mat if you can. When you're ready, next inhale, take your left arm up towards the ceiling. We're finding a twist. See if you can get shoulders to stack nicely. Maybe you're gazing to that top hand. Then we're going to find a little movement with the breath. So on the exhale, drop that left arm back. On the inhale, take it up overhead and reach it forward. Exhale, lift it up, take it over and back. Then inhale up, overhead, forward. Let's do 1 more. Exhale, you draw it back. Inhale, reach it forward. And then on your exhale, you just bring that left hand back down to the outside of the foot. Now you're going to remove that second block. You're going to tuck your back toes, lift your back knee, and then drop your back heel. So back foot is parallel to the back of the mat. You cartwheel the arms up. You sink into that front knee. So again, I'm turning around so you can see me a little bit better. Front knees over ankle. We're sinking into that front knee. Gazing over the front hand. Then we'll find some movement with the breath. So as you inhale, press into that front foot, straighten the leg, rise up, reach the arms overhead, and then exhale, you sink into the front knee. Inhale, straighten, lengthen, reach. You can gaze up to the hands. Exhale, sink into the front knee, gaze over the front hand. 1 more, just like that. Inhale, rise. And exhale, you sink. You're going to cartwheel the hands down to frame your front foot. Come onto the ball of the back foot. Take your left foot back to meet the right. You should be in a plank. Maybe drop the knees first. Next exhale, you lower all the way down. Inhale, you lift the chest. And this time on the exhale, we're going to find a child's pose. You're going to lift yourself up. You're going to take the knees wide. Toes will touch and hips draw back. Forehead can ground to the mat, or maybe you want to take one of your blocks underneath to bring the mat a little bit closer to you. Eyes might be closed, and big inhale, you expand into the backside of the ribs. Big exhale, just soften and fall over top of the thighs or in between them. And maybe just using this as a moment to reflect on your practice, to reflect on your intention, and to sit with how you feel. Remember, there's no right or wrong way to move through a practice like yoga, breath, meditation. All that matters is that you showed up to take care of yourself in a very beautiful way, a very powerful way. And that is something to celebrate. That is something to be so, so proud of. Very gently, you're going to walk the hands back as you lift the chest. So we're kind of sitting on the heels. And then all you're going to do from here is swing the legs around and come into a seated position. You might want to scooch forward so that we're not quite at the back of the mats. And then we're going to make our way onto our back. So you can keep the knees bent, reach the arms out in front of you, and find a slow roll down if that feels okay. Otherwise, coming onto your back in whatever way does feel good. And then all you're going to do is walk the feet back so they're a little bit closer towards you. And then bring the feet mat width. Soles of the feet will come nice and wide, mat width. Open up the arms into a cactus shape. And then take a breath in here. On your exhale, drop the knees over to the left. Inhale, come back to center. And exhale, drop them over to the right. Inhale, come back to center. And exhale, you're going to drop them over to the left. Maybe they drop a little heavier this time. Inhale, back to center. And exhale, over to the right. Inhale, draw them to center. And exhale, you drop them over to the left and just stay here for a moment. You might notice as you let the knees fall in the direction that they're in, the left side, you might notice an opening in that right hip flexor, in that right side of the leg. And then inhale, draw them back to center, and exhale, you drop them over to the right and just holding here for a moment. So again, you might notice that gentle opening in your left side, left hip, left leg. Take a deeper breath. Just let the body melt. And then come back through center. And then toe heel the feet in closer together. Hug the knees in towards the chest. Now, I'll give you the modification for this next posture first. You might just keep the knees hugged in, bring the hands to the top of the shins, open up the hips as you draw the knees towards the armpits. That's a beautiful modification. Otherwise, for your happy baby, keeping the knees bent, kicking the feet towards the ceiling, you can take peace fingers to wrap around the big toes, or you can grab the pinky toe sides of the feet as you draw the knees down towards the armpits. You kick the feet into the hands. You find a lengthening of the spine. And you might even find a gentle rock from side to side. Maybe eyes closed as you check in with what's going on in the body. Where do you notice the sensations, the feelings? Then very gently letting go of the legs, I'm going to invite you to extend both legs and arms up towards the ceiling, just finding a gentle hang. Maybe your eyes are already closed. It doesn't matter what you look like. It matters what you feel. So invitation to shake out anything else from the nervous system or the body that shifted through the movement that you don't need to carry with you anymore. And then you're going to hug the knees into the chest. Pick the shoulders up off the earth, big hug, big squeeze, lots of love, and slowly release into your final resting pose just for a couple of minutes here in a Shavasana. Whatever shape of rest feels good in your body, honoring that. Eyes can close if they're not already there. Breath can find its natural rhythm. And for these last couple of minutes, just allowing yourself to be here, to be present, to be held in the space. Just as powerful as movement is, so is stillness. A practice like this is so great because it really opens up that flow of energy, connecting breath and body so they become one. And when we can start to open up the flow of energy and create more space within our body, within our systems, that gives us the opportunity to shift anything stagnant, to shift anything that's no longer serving us, to start processing our feelings, emotions, and energy that's in the body. And then that gives us the opportunity to release it. And once we release the stuff we no longer need to carry, We have so much space, so much room to call in, to create, and to cultivate for ourselves. All those things that are trying to find their way into your life, make their way into your life, your dreams, those desires that you get, those little pings from the universe, that's what a desire is, can now find you. They can now find you because you have room for them. You have space for them. And you are so worthy of them, whatever it is you do desire. So taking a moment here to send yourself so much love and gratitude for choosing to move, for choosing to breathe, for choosing to connect. Take your hands to stack over top of your heart. Thank you so much for joining me for this movement. It's an honor to guide you. I can't wait to see you again soon. Come join me on the mat next time.